Now, Mr. Senator, if he is impeached and removed, nothing really changes, does it? Because he'll be replaced by somebody else who's carrying out Biden's policy.
Mr. Varney, I think this will be a huge message to the White House. We have a president that thinks he's running for re-election. He's going to have a tough time running for re-election when his Secretary of DHS just got impeached, because really he's implementing the policies of the White House. So this would be a huge message. And oh, by the way, I took an oath to defend this country from enemies, both domestic as well as across the ocean. And we're not doing that right now. If you talk to any American family right now, they're concerned about the price of gas and groceries, but they're also concerned about the safety and security of their family. I'm obligated to go after this secretary. I hope that the House would introduce impeachment of him, sure, and then we'll gladly go through with the trial.
Mayorkas is doing exactly what President Biden wants him to do. Migrants get this app, they get an appointment at the border, they walk across the border, they get an appointment at some city for a court date, they have to wait for years, they're in, they work. Biden's won. They've got the open borders, they're streaming in, and they've won. And there's not much you can do about it until the next election.
Well, we need to do something about it right now, but you're right, President Biden wants this. This secretary broke all the records. 5 million people have crossed the border illegally under his watch and President Biden's watch. We have 400,000 convicted criminal aliens in this country that need to be deported, and they are planning on doing nothing about it. It makes their families less safe. So I can't wait till the next election. We need to do everything we can. We need to put pressure on this White House. If there was an impeachment hearing on the DH secretary, I guarantee you, even Joe Biden's White House is going to stand up and listen and say, my goodness, we'll never get reelected. There's going to be just a tsunami in the House and in the Senate this next election.
You're up to speed on another big subject as well, because you've just released a report on the origins of COVID. Do you have any doubt that the virus came from the Wuhan lab in China?
Right. So there's a preponderance of evidence that supports that there were 2 lab leaks from laboratories in Wuhan, China. The first one, September 2019, a small leak. And then when they were developing the vaccine, probably in November of 2019, there was another bigger leak. All the evidence points towards that, from intelligence, epidemiology, the science of it. And then beyond that, there's a significant amount of evidence to support that this virus was made in that laboratory. No one will doubt that they had the ability to make this virus. They were doing experiments in biosecurity level 2 and 3 laboratories on viruses just like this, with an express purpose of making viruses like this.
Now, that's pretty clean cut. Mr. Senator, one more for you. You're telling the Energy Department that Biden's gas stove regulations would harm Americans. Okay, spell it out. How does it harm Americans?
Right. So Biden's environmental demagogues are coming after hardworking Americans. The rules this White House is putting out would cause 96% of the current gas stoves to be outlawed. And just put this in perspective, gas stoves account for 0.1% of the greenhouse emissions from this country. Meanwhile, these same demagogues, when they're in their private jets, they'll burn enough carbon in 1 hour to equal what an average American does in an entire year. So what's good for you is not good for me. Americans say that's not fair. There's nothing fair about this. There's other opportunities to invest the environmental issues, and that'll be through American technology and innovation.
Senator Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, please don't be such a stranger to this program.